started hosting the community talk events to allow people in the ecosystem, near and non-near, to get involved and have a space to share their projects and their research with us and with the community. And yeah, we had 4 so far, and today Jan is going to talk about blockchain use cases for cities. You want to give like a quick intro about yourself before you start sharing your screen?
Sure, I do actually have a slide on that, but
awesome. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, quickly to give you the intro, I've been around with NIR for over a year, I think. I'm based myself in Prague, in Czech Republic, and I've heard about NIR from a friend of mine in San Francisco, and that was like in 2018, and they said, "Oh, this is the best. This is the next big thing coming up. Everybody's going like really big, crazy about it." And so I joined NIR as a Prague ambassador, learning, more and more about it myself. Was initially intrigued, and then fully kind of falling in love with the team dynamic and the approach and the vision. Me being a product guy myself, and them emphasizing the user experience and developers experience on the blockchain, as well as scalability and all the other things. So so I've been around with NIR for over a year, and in blockchains for over, I don't know, now over 3 years. I'm class 2017, as they say. So now it's coming to adoption. And this opportunity, this community talk has turned out to be a really nice opportunity for us to talk about like where I think that adoption can be done for smart cities.
Awesome, great, thank you for sharing. Let's go ahead and see your presentation.
Okay. So let me just make sure that screen.
Yeah, we can see you. I can see your screen.
That's working?
Yeah.
Okay.
Working.
So hello, everybody. This will be a short presentation on smart cities on blockchain. It is a vision by Tatum and WorkNB. We'll get to those companies later. And in summary, it is about how we can restart city economies and life in post-COVID-19 era, lay the foundations of an open source public data infrastructure, and at the same time, and expand its applications to build a modern, innovative, smart city of the 21st century. This topic came up, at least for myself, a little bit, well, not a little bit, like purely organically, because I've been working on sorts of projects previously on DAOs. I mean, distributed currency, cryptocurrencies before, and then decentralized autonomous organizations and fundraising. Just lately on tokenization platform, security tokenized, security tokens offerings. And I've ended up with Smart Cities as I joined as a senior product manager, Tatum. And it came out of the desire of the team at Tatum to do something meaningful and do something with blockchains for public good. And so that's how we got to the topic. And then Anais approached me, and I said, okay, why not? Let's do something on smart cities. So here's the 3-minute pitch. Basically, just before I start, the idea is to, by the end of this presentation, I would like to show you what smart cities, what we've learned pitching blockchain, or maybe not also mentioning blockchain to the city representatives as a company. What I realized that blockchain can do for cities and for communities and citizens of any city, and then also state economies. and also what we can do as a blockchain community, coming together and then pushing the adoption of blockchain from the bottom up. So the next slide is a 3-minute pitch that you probably would give to a city or a city representative why it is important to start thinking about blockchain in terms of the city framework now. Oh, sorry, it is the slide after next. So quickly, my mission is to accelerate adoption of open, decentralized, scalable public blockchains and cryptocurrency. I've mentioned already that I'm a product marketing business development guy with about 12 years of experience in this or digital space. And I'm currently working for a company called Tatum, which is a blockchain made easy company. It is a blockchain platform which is empowering non-blockchain developers build decentralized applications within minutes using about plus 150 and in next versions about 210 REST API calls and about 20 underlying blockchains underneath that the teams can interact with. So it is a familiar kind of environment box where you can build applications really quickly on blockchain without having to understand blockchain, which also very nice aligns with the mission of Near Protocol. And alongside of this, I also am a founder of Work and Be, which I've been playing around for a while, what it might become. And what I have become to like recently and most is that it becomes a public good dApps collective. And as such, it is developing open source applications, helping cities and state representatives build smart cities people want to work and live in. And so that's the, now next is the slide I talked about, the 3-minute pitch that we as a community might want to give to cities if we want blockchain solutions to be adopted at scale. It is a high call. It's not easy to pitch to cities. It is quite different to pitch to a startup team, and it's very different to pitch to a enterprise. But here is what I think might work, and that's something that we might be able to get the foot in, if you like, into cities. So where I stand, where I understand what's going on at the moment in the world is that the economy is at a standstill and it is heading into recession/depression by autumn 2020. And local businesses need our support, and so do our citizens to survive. This sentence doesn't entirely come from my head. It actually comes also from a head of a concrete city representative of about nearly 500,000 strong citizen city here in Czech Republic that we're talking with, and they're trying to solve a real problem for someone or for these people. Obviously, it's not judged by purely the stock market that seeing in America or Nasdaq or S&P 500, but rather judged by the real number of unemployment and where the GDP might be going if people have no money to spend. So the immediate need is the fiscal stimulus, which is fast, direct, and ideally, in our view, participatory, which just means that if there are checks to be handed out to people, we believe it's better that these citizens have an incentive to spend those money wisely, which is guaranteed by them participating in purchasing that stimulus. We'll get to that later. Solution to it, we believe, is a city-state sponsored vouchers distributed through a location-aware economic activity stimulating mobile app, which again, compared to some other countries where help was handed out through a plastic cards, seems to be not only just more convenient, but also cheaper. when you're talking about billions of dollars being handed out, it is another 1 billion that's spent on fees. You're talking 3, 4, 5% fees on every transaction that's being made through those stimulus checks, and that's a lot of money for the cities as well as for the government. At the same time, we believe it's a real opportunity. This is the time where we, as a blockchain and crypto community, can come and have the window of opportunity to educate these city and state representatives on why blockchain is good and why and how it connects us as an organization, as an organically evolving organization that can achieve big things if united. And so we are enabling citizens to try out the convenience of digital currency in practice, while laying out foundations for a smart city of the 21st century, which will be on a blockchain, open, efficient, and secured. The tech stack, and we can get in a discussion to reasons why, we see as a friendly mobile user interface, and then the Tatum API box, which is about the approaching of the 99% of developers that don't understand blockchain, or it's about talking to the city representatives that are not fully aware of why blockchain is good, and they don't necessarily want to hear those words and phrases actually in explaining or negotiations. Plus programmable blockchain of city's choice, where, and we will get to it, could be, for example, a protocol. Now, delivered time, if we want to be the timeline, if you want to be really serious about this, is, I believe, somewhere around 8 to 12 weeks from today. And that's because I believe we're going to have some nice summer to enjoy. Again, stock markets are going up, and crypto markets are going up. Everything seems just fine, at least on the charts. But there's a real unemployment, and there's real people who are struggling. And I think that reality will hit by autumn. And that's why we probably want to have this sort of timeline, and we'll see what happens there. If it doesn't happen to be that early, or if it doesn't happen at all, that's only good for everybody. Okay, moving on. So here's just a simple chart of what I believe might be the case of the economy. So with 15% unemployment and COVID staying, now there's a questionable whether COVID's staying or not. The old jobs are going. And so we have two options. We either gonna do things the old way. So that means that right now we're about here. We just basically pretty much got to pre-COVID-19 levels. And we'll see what happens from here. It might be, as they say, Robin Hood driven market, or it might be, it might be, and it might go upwards from here, or it might go downwards. I believe that without us adjusting and how we do the economy, it might be going downwards. And so if we want it to be going upwards, we as a society, we as humans of Earth need to adjust. And so the obvious thing that seems to be working is the stimulation. So that's been done by Fed and other central banks around the world. And then there's more. There's definitely more than now we have to do. It's all going to be hard work. And it is digitalization, it is innovation, it is automation, and it's decentralization. I believe decentralization specifically is very well suited for the current environment if it should go on. And so this is a graph that I've created about what the tech layer's perspective might look like for a city implementation. it got partly inspired by what we have been doing as a blockchain industry in a decentralized manner. It's been partly inspired by how we humans work and what moves us, what works for us, and also I've been looking at actually Asia and specifically China and how that moved along and what they implemented first, and was trying to get smarter about like what we can do, where the moves were smart, and how we can adjust so that it's actually more kind of say democratic and people led, publicly led in Western societies. And so in the beginning, in the center of it all, you can see there should be some sort of citizen ID or business ID, and around it is some sort of data layer, which, depending on what the city, how serious the city wants to take this, could be based purely on open public blockchain and be entirely open data. Well, we all know that especially with transactions, etc., we want to get at least to pseudo anonymous data, and eventually we want to get to private data that is verifiable by authorities where it needs to be. Once we have these things in place, and this is an ideal scenario, we want to have some sort of incentive program why people should join such initiative. If we want to introduce these solutions in cities, we need to understand that no city representative will vote for such a solution unless they feel that this will be accepted by the people that voted for them. And there needs to be reasons why that representative should spend time on it, and it should be good for the citizens. Before citizens find out why that's good for them, they actually want to have incentives why they should even think about it, why they should even join and care. So we want to have some sort of incentive program, which can be in a form of bullet points, and I'll get to it, which gives people rewards on why people should join. We want to have some sort of reward currency. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin or any other currency already known. It can be currency specifically created for the city, programmable currency that gives the city many advantages. We might want to get to some citizen business score as well as citizen score for obvious reason to incentivize competitions. And we want to have some sort of activation campaign as part of the incentives layer, which gives some bonuses and referrals and just all sorts of deals that just encourages the network effect. Moving up into the governance layer. Now, this might not happen in practice that the governance layer is actually built as the fourth step, but it would just make sense to build it as the next step. And that's because before you start building the application layer, you want to have, ideally in a democratic environment, have people say what they actually want the city or the state to build. And so in the governance layer, in a very maybe non-binding level for the city representatives, again, we can just propose non-binding surveys. It doesn't have to be a referendum right away. And then you can go from citizens petitions, and you can go into community referendums, and from community referendums, which maybe are part of a district, you can go into a city referendums. From there, you can go into industry and business think tanks and councils that are advising or giving some sort of expertise opinion on many of these city and community referendums. And once you have all these things established, you might, be ready to move to e-government digital polls, which are binding. And then where I would love to see myself us going is the citizen participatory e-government, where basically there is a fluid form of governance and fluid cohort of representatives which can be elected in and elected out at any point in time, based on their track record and what they do for people. And so the last stage is fluid citizen participatory management and e-government. But it doesn't have to happen right away. We have to be realistic, and this needs to be a multi-year, and maybe 10 years vision, before this can happen. And we might, jump across this layer and get straight into application layers or application layer, where I just gonna go through this quickly. We can do lots of things, anything from resource management, for example, for example, in Czech Republic, we have a problem with the underground water at the moment, and it's going to take us about 5 or 6 or 7 years before we can build enough for water, what you call it, ponds, lakes, artificial vessels that will be able to hold water, and we might want to incentivize some competition between, some sort of competition between citizens, or incentives between citizens to save water. Security, which needs to come before we can open up the systems. Transparency and trust, especially I believe the councils that might be hit by some sort of crisis, might actually lean towards some kind of open solution as a restart of the trust in their governance. Automation, so that comes to Internet of Things and many other stuff like transport. Economic stimulation, which we partly covered already. Transport, I already mentioned. 5G, a little bit controversial, but it's coming up. And for example, Solana is building quite a use case for it as well. Supplier chains, this has become somewhat relevant in the COVID-19 era, where people didn't know we're going to have enough of supplies, and having to know where, or being able to know where the supplies are somewhere along the chain might be comforting for the city. Healthcare, ledgers, and all sorts of other ledgers, and culture of body and mind, and also marketing that's somewhat already covered in the incentive layer. Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Before we go to the next slide, do you want to address questions now, or do you want to do it?
Is there any?
Yes. Can you see them?
Okay, let's cover them. Sure, of course.
Maybe Samuel, if you want to speak, I can give you the right to speak. Allowed to talk. Just maybe type quickly in the chat, and then we can discuss it live. Versus, or we can just read the questions. It's up to you.
I'm totally, yeah. Let's do the questions now. So do you want to read them out?
Yeah, if Samuel doesn't want to get in and speak, okay. Okay, I'm gonna allow you to talk. Let's see if it works. You should be able to unmute yourself now. Let's try it. Otherwise, I can read them out. Are you muted? Unmute? No, you're
Hello?
No. Yeah,
Hello?
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Sam.
Sorry, thank you very much, Hannah, for this. I literally just caught it like 5 minutes before it started. And it's it's really, really stimulating, and it's a lot of good work, especially like putting everything together. But I just like had some brain dumps as you were going through. And it's like Malta, which was once meant to be the blockchain island, is like they're giving out 100, I'm not sure what their currency is, to people to spend in specific sectors to try to boost the economy, especially like restaurants and bars, because those are things that would, in their current state, don't look like they're going to exist a post-COVID world. So this might be a good application. But we'll go back to that diagram. The diagram, there's a lot going on there. And where you go like point 3.3, which was like citizens or business scores. Like it's a million opinion. How do you stop this from the negative effects of having these kind of control? Because what you give people, giving the people this kind of the given cities or like politicians this kind of control, how do you stop that from being used negatively? Because citizen score rapidly becomes social scoring. You know, it affects which mortgages you can get. It affects what kind of life insurance you can get. You know, how do you do that? And the second thing is if what if the populace, what if the electorate is not a concern of the deciding bodies because there's no the electorate doesn't matter. So you look at places like China or even Dubai. Dubai, like people don't get elected. So like what kind of angle do you have there? Because these are places where we're seeing blockchain being adopted on a very mass scale, but yet they're not the people don't really have a say in that.
I'm not quite sure I understood the second question.
Oh no, okay, 3.3. How do you stop social scoring or business scoring from being used in a detrimental way? Yeah. Yeah, that's the TLDR for me.
The question. Okay. Sure. Sam, it's a very good question. Majority of my friends, when I first introduced them the concept, asked them, and I replied in this way. The short answer is that I believe that it's unavoidable, and the best thing we can do is to be there first as a community voice to implement solutions that we believe are right. The longer answer is that my girlfriend is from Hong Kong herself. Hong Kong is being taken over by China. US itself now pronounced it as a place that's no longer sovereign. And I discussed this with her at length. I said, what do you think? Do we want to go here? Do we want to actually push this initiative? And we had days long conversations about this. And what we arrived at in the end is that it's coming anyway. If you look at what European Union as a legislator is now proposing as a firewall, for example, etc., and other things, I think that that's what's coming one way or the other. And the right thing to do for us as a community to drive this initiative and maybe take some mind share and take some political support along the way, and then have a really good discussion with all sorts of representatives about how we can do this better. I believe there's a definitely better way to do these things right or differently, let's say than China's government does it. Certainly in Czech Republic, for example, where we have a 50 years long experience with communism. And so I think that's the answer. Like I can't guarantee you it's going to be. I can't guarantee to anybody that this will not be used against the citizens. But if you are in that camp where you believe it's coming anyway, I believe it's better that we drive it ourselves. What do you think?
I totally agree. Like I never thought of it that way, but yeah, even the land of the free, America is probably going to implement it. So yeah.
It's a very good question. I think about it a lot.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Is there?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Those were.
Or do you...
There's an anonymous question.
Okay.
So it's, what kind of response have you gotten from city leaders to date? Have they been receptive, or are they relatively unaware of how to utilize blockchain? So how do you approach it? What is the conversation like with?
Yeah, that's another really, really good question. Like right straight to the core of what's going on. We've learned that it's not important to talk about blockchain. Rather, it's slowing things down. It just muddles up the water. It muddles up the discussion. it is not job of the city representatives to be fully educated about blockchain and cryptocurrency and its freedom powers and the powerful public good. And so we found out it's much better to talk to them about the solution, which could be and not a technical solution, just that what it's going to do for the people, what it's going to do for their populace. And if it gets to the technical discussion, that's where Tatum as a hybrid solution comes in, which says basically, well, because the Tatum founders originally worked for one of the largest banks in Czech Republic, which is an international bank, and they know how to build the lowest level of secure a standard database, but high performance database solution. And they say, well, basically our pitch is it can be a database. It can be a hybrid. Eventually you can move fully to a decentralized app if you want. But frankly, we never got to that point with discussion with them. So we pitched a solution, for example, as in terms of the Restart the City, which we will get to, it's what it's going to do for the people. And once they understand the solution, the next thing they're really interested in, and that's where we spend in the end majority of the time is debating, discussing, is the process. Because city representatives are bound by rules, by jurisdictions, and they are elected for 4 or 5 years. And while they want to do, obviously, I think pretty much everybody wants to do good for citizens. They can't afford to do mistakes, and so a big part of, if you want to say, sales pitch to city representatives is about the process. It's about the legal, financial, and auditory process. Solution comes at the beginning, shortly, and in the end. I don't know if that answers the question. Hopefully it does.
Yeah, it's great to get those perspectives. Yeah. Since that's something that I guess many of us don't really keep in mind too often, that a lot of new processes are difficult to implement since lawyers, governments are bound to existing processes that might not be compatible with what we're proposing.
Yeah. We as a community, we really need to learn. I think it started off in 2017 when we had the wave of ICOs, and some of those projects started taking the discussion with the regulators seriously. And they were like, okay, how can we help you? How can we actually meet you where you need us to be? Blockstack, was among some of those, and then obviously the last way of the Web3 blockchains, including the protocol, I believe have been considering all these issues considerably, and so it needs to happen on all those levels, including municipal level.
Yeah, awesome. There's another question. So thanks for the response. When vouchers are they issued directly from government authorities to citizens via the app, Tatum, New Protocol, or do banks play any role in the issuance of digital currency or funds for the voucher?
Well, it would be up to an agreement who's going to manage the process. But I do have a specific slide on this where I think we'll give
awesome.
It will give some clarification.
Yeah. Let's go ahead with the presentation.
Okay. So this is an example of what could be the pitch of a roadmap to a city, applications roadmap with emphasis on restarting the city's economy and launching by 15th September 2020. So you can't start without ID. Some actually cities already have an ID implemented, which it could be implemented through a transport system that that the transport system needed to have an ID so that people can purchase vouchers tokens basically for monthly travel or weekly travel or whatever travel period. So you want to have some sort of ID profile. If the city doesn't have it, then we as a community should be able to provide it as a starting point. Then already mentioned rewards program, which has got some incentives, rewards currency and score. Then I'm getting to the relief and stimulate, which is the core of what I believe is the pitch for 2020, especially for autumn, which is the stimulation of the local economy with near to zero fees. And then we can get to, obviously other very interesting applications and you could see them in the previous graph, but I mean, believe me, there's dozens, possibly hundreds of applications and extensions that a smart city can adopt. It's like the smart city is basically the holy grail of blockchain, but at least the way I came to understand it, because all these applications that we're developing for community, whether they are decentralized finance, whether they are gaming, whether they are decentralized markets, payment apps, location-aware apps, all of it comes together in smart cities and more. If I believe it's presented the right way to the city representatives. And so following on that comes the digital LTD, which is basically a DAO, but we can't call it a DAO. We need to start calling it something that people understand, including fundraising. So that would be just a simple way of calling basically DICO by Vitalik, decentralized autonomous initial coin offering. And then what I believe will be needed is to re-employ these people back into the economy. So we want to have some gigs around the corner, I call it. And that's basically just the gigs economy that came out in 2008 and enjoyed a really good surge. And then maybe kind of got in the background a little bit, but I think it's going to re-emerge again. So that would be the basic roadmap page. But this is something that you would be typically pitching to a VC or a company, but what effectively you are pitching to the city is this. It's a process. Implementation process with emphasis on restarting the city's economy while launching by 15 September 2020. So you want to cover political decision-making, legal and financial process, applications layer setup, development period and launch week, plus whatever follows after that. And so I have these initial three covered in the following slides. So I'm just gonna briefly mention the fifth and the sixth thing, that city typically doesn't have the capacity to develop these things themselves. So there's an opportunity for sure for guilds, DAOs, all sorts of alliances and associations of app development or digital agencies coming together with blockchain foundations to develop these solutions and provide it. These things can be fully open source, but at each city, each jurisdiction will need adjustments. So there's plenty of incentives for us, if you like, plenty of money, if you like, to be made. And there is all sorts of other functions that the city is not prepared or doesn't want to be engaging with. And so marketing, distribution, and help and support is some of those. So that's, again, offers the opportunity for large scale global teams consisting of many companies and communities that come together, provide one solution for cities. And once we launch it, because it's still very early, there's basically no city that has got this implemented. There's the cities that are engaging in smart city solutions. I think there's a couple in Sweden. I think there's Estonia is doing something interesting. I think United Emirates, I think, are doing something interesting on that front. There's a couple more. You can find maps of smart cities, engaging smart cities on the internet. but the infrastructure is still the Web 2.0 infrastructure. And so there's a whole bunch of new dynamics and incentives and crypto economics to be monitoring and developing on. And so that's where we come in. All right, so coming to the first 3 points of the process, political decision. Let's make it easy for the policy and decision makers to succeed. We want to help with finding a project sponsor. So this is something that we can do as a community. If we organize well and we share resources, that's something that I really like that Anais is launching, which is the near guilds. We share resources between the guilds that we form in countries and cities. It's not that hard to actually approach a city council and find the right project sponsor, and then these are public people, and then help them to draft a proposal and even prepare them to debate for the proposal. They usually have voting. They have voting like once in 2 weeks, for example, about the major things. And so first the city council comes together. That could be like 13, 15 people. And they come from different political parties, at least in Czech Republic. And they vote. And there's a city mayor that listens to the proposal, and then everybody votes, and the city mayor has the last say. In our case, the city mayor really liked it, I think, and so we got a green light. But then it needs to come down into individual departments. So that's a budgetary finance department. That's a legal department, it's a technical department, and all these need to come then to the table beneath in the days after and weeks and months after to discuss how the solution will be implemented. So it's really important that we not only find that project sponsor, which could be from a technologically progressive leaning party, like we have Pirates. With Pirates is, by the way, I think European widespread party. And then they just like this stuff. So you find a pirate, if you like, and then in our case we didn't even need to prepare him that or her that much, but in general that's something that we can help with because they will be facing a lot of questions that we already know that they will be facing, but for them that will be first time. Okay, next. So project legal and financial process. Cities consider the app as nearly the last thing. It's something I mentioned already. We need to help them with the process, design, and approval rounds if we want to succeed. So it's something, again, that, like, for example, from the city side, we can expect that the legal counsel will come in, and the head of IT will come in, and the head of financial and budget will come in, and they will be bombarding this project sponsor with all these questions. But what we want to do is we want to help him out or help her out. So we should have, alliance or association, some sort of external auditor. Ideally, there would be some big names, like, I don't know, you name it, like Deloitte, or, PricewaterhouseCoopers or McKinsey, something like that. So, someone like that can give us a stamp on this, and that's really going to comfort the process. And also maybe a dedicated project manager that's going to help the project sponsor with the process along the way. Because there's this, let's not assume that all these people understand how projects are developed, startups are done, and what means, I don't know, like customer value proposition, or I don't know, like conversion funnels and all sorts of these things. So project manager should be in place. Next, the legal framing in your jurisdiction. Again, having a legal counsel on our side that can be maybe one dedicated for one jurisdiction, and for alliance and association there can be others coming in for other jurisdictions is really helpful. One can learn from another, and again, it's something that's really important, that it's basically handed on the golden platter to the city officers, not necessarily the council, because they're not dealing with this sort of detail, so that they feel that there's a support and guidance and just speeds up the process massively. and it brings out confidence, etc. And then of course, like when all these people come together, they're like, okay, what's the process? What's the process? So for example, in the case of the vouchers, I'll get to it. How do you do the clearing and settling between the bank and the blockchain and the vouchers? I'll get to that. This slide that didn't manage to finish, but it's basically getting to the beginning of the ID. So now we're gonna cover the ID and the first bits of the application layer. So obviously, we want to have some kind of digital ID, as I mentioned, for citizens. Ideally, what seems to be like doable for us is just so citizens just scan their current ID. There's plenty of services like that out there. And then the ID is checked against some sort of registry or ledger of the government to make sure that the citizen is real and it's not duplicate, etc. And then you have a business ID. So that's a similar thing. Once you have a citizen ID, you can then create a business ID. And there is basically the citizen ID combined with your company number, again, compared with the register. And if that ID is, if that person is basically registered as the, the company director, for example. All right, so that's how you make sure that the company is real. Okay, and so now I'm gonna cover just, I think, just one, just this specific case where I want to get into a detail of one application. And I call that application Relief and Stimulate, which is a stimulate the city economy by sponsored vouchers through a location-aware banking fees saving app. So how it works. City allocates a budget from which it substitutes, for example, 50% of price of stimulus vouchers that citizen can purchase in the app and then go and spend them with registered local businesses using the same app and QR codes generated for each payment on the business side. Again, using the same app. If you have any questions, please ask. But I'm going to cover some more. So benefits are that it is direct, it's fast, and inexpensive trickle-up economic stimulus. It is also fully controlled, measurable, and participatory, because you can set up how much the government will contribute. So for example, in this case, it is 100 for 2. I was trying to come up with some catchy line. So here, citizens of the city can purchase a voucher for 200 euros, 200 euros worth voucher for 100 euros. And then it says the other 100 is given to you by the city of Brussels to support its citizens and local entrepreneurs. Purchase. Another benefit is that businesses in the city save up to 4% on credit card fees, which when you're actually talking billions. It's a lot of money. It is also insightful because city gains access to new valuable data it uses to direct the help in most effective ways, especially if the COVID should come in more waves. Then you want to know which businesses did well in the previous round, and maybe then you can sizzle, you can make the solution even better. It's gamifiable. So leaderboards can be used to enhance community effort. And it's also expandable because more apps can be added to build a smart solution, especially once you basically introduced a blockchain wallet into everybody's hands. So how it works. I'm just going to go quickly through it because I now feel like I've covered it. City allocates a budget from which it substitutes, e.g. 50% of price of stimulus vouchers that citizens then go and spend with registered local businesses. So citizen, 200 euros purchased of worth of voucher, city contributes 100 to it, so it costs only 100 to the citizen. And then citizen, for example, goes and spends, this crisis was a lot about service jobs. So I also use a lot of the service jobs as examples, as I personally believe that it maintains the social fabric of the city. But of course, these could be directed helps that could be concerning any specific cohort of businesses that city chooses. So I choose a hairdresser, a restaurant, and a city transport. And so as long as people travel, it seems like business is happening. So how it works for each of those parties concerned, Brussels announces Restart Brussels and its first wave, 200 for 1 in media. Brussels sends out SMS, emails, and letters with unique code for citizens and businesses to sign up and into the application. Brussels can then finance 100% of the voucher purchases or requires, for example, 50% participation. The campaign is monitored and analyzed, and businesses that are becoming popular can get more help in the follow-up campaigns, or the app can be extended by new functions, for example, geolocation gamification. Now, what businesses get? So to sign up both companies and self-employed entrepreneurs, use their identification number and upload photos and descriptions to create their profile to get, for example, €5 for a successful registration. Businesses are created. Businesses create, I think, unique QR codes and badges to accept payments or put them on their doors and websites. Brussels can also see the transactions in real time and can clear the voucher transactions and send fiat to business bank accounts in the desired intervals. Because obviously that's important because we're dealing with a digital currency, but in the end of the day, the suppliers still need fiat. And citizens are signing up. Citizens scan their ID card and enter the unique code they receive to create their digital ID and become eligible to purchase the sponsored voucher. Here, the unique code, by the way, comes in because you want to make sure. Well, I mean, there's another level. Like, for example, people might be registered in Brno, but then you want to add another filter how you select which citizens get this sort of help. So you would do that through unique codes. Once purchased, citizens start spending the vouchers currency with their favorite businesses, supporting their survival. Easily searchable businesses, maps, and lists, including lead boards, are part of the app. And then the unspent balance at the end of the campaign can be transferred to a foundation of citizens' choice, for example, to prevent COVID-19 or any other good cause. So quickly how it works. So we have obviously a welcome screen, why you should join the app. Then you scan the ID, you create your ID, and then it offers you to purchase. Basically, it's a one item in an e-shop. So you purchase the voucher through some sort of familiar payment gate where you put in your credit card. Congratulations, you've purchased your voucher worth €200 for €100. And then at the same time, the businesses are registering in a similar way, where they obviously they have a little bit different registration process that upgrades this one. Then they create their own profile. They seem to be unavoidable. I mean, the profiles could be scanned from services like booking.com, etc., if it's restaurants or hotels. But in general, you probably want to have some profiling registration part of the form. And they receive the reward. And then what next? So citizens spend some money in a restaurant, and the restaurant issues them an invoice and then initiates the payment, initiates a QR code to receive the payment, €39. The citizens scans it. That's the step number 3. The business receives it, and then you have some sort of a history of transactions in a citizen's wallet. That's it. That's basically the app. Now, how it works in the background is sort of interesting. Is basically you start with the citizen sending €100 to the bank account that's established especially for this initiative by the city. At the same time, the payment gate gives a signal to the middleware layer, which in this case is Tatum, which creates the digital currency worth of 200 euros. So in Brussels case, this could be called BRU, for example. The currency could be called BRU, or in case of Berlin, it could be called Bern, okay, BRN, or any other. In case of Prague, it could be PRG, Prague. And then the citizen has got these charge. When he wants to spend it, he scans the QR code that goes for the middleware again. And Restart the city knows, or the bank account of the city knows about it. And then once they do settlement, that could be clearing and settlement could be done every evening or every week or every month. But anything longer than a month is questionable because these businesses, they need help, not in a month, but they need the actual fiat right away. And then it comes to the business. And so the other 100 euros is contributed from the city stimulus fund. And I feel I might be repeating this, but the benefits and incentives are for citizens that they get financial support in difficult times. The businesses will save about 3% on a credit card fees, which may project into lower prices of goods and services. Especially in the deflationary environment, which should happen anyway. And even more time saving and social benefits resulting from expanding the software by incentives and rewards layer. So if they join the program and we assume that this will be developed further, especially those that want to be active, could be benefiting from this further. The businesses get a reward to join in. They increase their revenue because there's now extra budget coming, floating around the city. They save on the credit card fees, and I believe that once they start saving on these fees, and compared to 3%, you can get down to 0.00001 cent of a fee. Then there's a very, very hard way to go back. Like no one wants to go back to 3% fees anymore. Especially in some sort of businesses, it actually can create significant portion of the actual profit. 3% of the revenue can create 50% of their profit. So that's remarkable. And they also get a new payment terminal and they get a benefit of learning a digital currency practically for free and with incentives. And they get more powerful functions and benefits if city decides to expand the app. And for the city, popular trickle-up economics program, help can be with citizens and businesses in 2 weeks rather than it's months of rollout with plastic. Easy to implement, direct solution that saves resources. It's measurable results, especially in blockchain. It's targeting locally registered businesses. Part of this stimulus will return back into the budget through taxes. And it lays down an ideal foundation for a smart city of 21st century, open, efficient, and secured by blockchain. And it can be expanded by many more useful functions. Okay, I'm coming to the end.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, there's one more question.
Yep.
If anybody has more questions, please ask in the Q&A section, and then and then we can address them afterwards. Cool. Should I go ahead with the question, or do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't seem to.
Okay, let's do it now. Cool. So there's a question regarding zero knowledge proofs. Have you considered utilizing zero knowledge proofs for identity verification? So that person that processes an ID can be verified, but the owner or operator of the application cannot see the specific details of who that person is.
Yeah. No, yeah, it seems to be perfect for it. Yes. So I think it's something that cities should implement. Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of research to be done in zero knowledge proofs as well to make them usable in a mobile application, let's say. Just something to consider. I haven't looked into zero knowledge proofs for a while. It would be interesting to ask somebody who also has like deeper understanding of the technology, right? To Yeah, but there are several applications. Sorry, there are several applications who do use zero knowledge proofs for identity verification. One of them is NIM, if you want to check it out. Thoughts?
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mind to cut you.
It is something that we get excited about as a
Yeah.
community, but it's years ahead of where other people are ready. So I think that, yeah, we wanna be implementing it basically by default. Yeah, we want to be able to. Yeah, we just want to make sure it works. It's still, as you said, it's still early technology.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the privacy layer that's quite in a circle from the diagram you showed. I guess it could be used like to prevent a lot of the, let's say, malicious takeovers use of that kind of technology, and that in the sense of if I can't know citizens' data, how can I tailor citizens in a way that favors the government?
So I think one of when you get to the practical thing of having an ID on blockchain at all is when things change, it needs to be upgradable. And so a lot of, I like, for example, with people who are aware of ZK snarks and zero knowledge proofs, but they don't fully understand the technology yet. And same with the blockchain. They're aware of blockchain and how it roughly works, but they don't every single technical details in and out. And I include myself in there. It's like, okay, so it's on blockchain, and what if like you need to change your ID? How is that done? It needs to be somewhat upgradable. Does the whole blockchain need to come to a consensus about you upgrading your ID, or how's that going to work? And if it can be done in some sort of like localized manner, then do you need blockchain for it and stuff like that? So I think that we need, yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I'm doing this presentation. I hope that it will bring more people to this topic, and specifically with this use case with smart city, where I believe it's tangible, and we get to a roundtable and discuss this.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great start, and it would be interesting to see more people talk about those specific use cases that are envisioned and are tried at local scale, at community scale, but might not work yet as effective, or might not be as adopted as we hope for yet, right? Versus DeFi applications that have a clear or more established use case, let's say.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that there is still many benefits to blockchain as it is today without privacy. And what we found out is it's the fees. If the city is to pay a 3% fee or no fee, they'll want to pay no fee. If something is like 0.0001% cent, then that's pretty much no fee. And if the settlement can be done in, say, seconds, that's still a great benefit. And maybe we want to keep it simple. Zero knowledge proofs and all the other potential benefits that blockchain has, it's just too much. They don't have people don't have time to consider all these things, and so we don't necessarily as a community have to sell the zero knowledge proofs. These things can actually be done in a normal database and somehow be interacting with the blockchain, and transactions are done on the blockchain because that part of the function provides a real benefit. No fees, and it's fast. So stuff like that. It's like for me, it's been a mind opening stuff. Me coming from a fully decentralized kind of ideology, we have to decentralize everything. It's like maybe not yet. Who knows?
Nice. Yeah. I don't want to cut you off. We are 1 hour in. How many slides are left?
I think I've got like 2-3 slides left, and that's it.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'll let you close it off.
And we've just been covering this. If we are pitching to a city, it doesn't have to be everything on blockchain right away. In fact, we found out, like, less we mention the word blockchain, seems like more we're progressing. And so this sort of chart that I did very quickly could be improved, but it does I think it does the trick as a proposition. And that means, sure, as a city, we can start with a standard database, which is familiar to the IT people at the city. It is a standard old way. It's easy to scale and it's easy to change. However, if you implement a public blockchain, like say NEAR protocol, it becomes open, and that drives innovation, and it saves on fees because it's secured by the centralized consensus and and it's immutable, so it's fast settlements. It doesn't have to be verified by people in the middle, and that's right away the benefit. It's 3% saving on the fees, and then that gets people thinking, okay, but maybe the blockchain is actually not all that bad. And then you go into blockchain plus privacy features, as Anna said, including the ZK snarks, etc. And I believe that just increases the trust in the system and increases the efficiency, as we know that it can scale, for example, Ethereum better, and it's just general, like, people do have reserves to adopt purely open public blockchains if everything is visible on them. So privacy will help adoption. He's a table that might be controversial a little bit, but for what blockchains it includes, and it's still not complete. And I hope to complete it in the coming days with the communities mentioned. But in general, it is interesting that just as a provocative thought, that if you want to use a blockchain today that basically would be votable on, that the city would be ready to approve, maybe Ripple is up there. Ripple is vastly up there, and if you and by the way, none of those, neither Ethereum or Ripple, maybe Ripple actually could be done fully on chain, but Ethereum couldn't be done fully on chain. No way, nowhere close. But if cities are to approve something, it needs to be a recognizable brand. It needs to get up there. It needs to be recognized, and so we need to work as a community on recognition of those blockchains that we believe have a potential and are the right solution for these functions, and the speed and the cost of transaction already mentioned, and time per settlement, and that all comes in place, and that we need to have that fully developed before city would be even prepared to consider a fully on-chain solution. And so just to sum up on what I've been proposing as a solution for cities is that if you want to develop some sort of app for the city, because all those chains are still moving and developing, etc., there is and ID cards and privacy features, etc., and other scaling solutions. It might not be a bad idea to have a middleware in the middle that's fast and it's high performant, etc. There's a couple of startups, a couple of companies like that. Tatum is one of them. Provides a familiar REST API calls for non-blockchain developers, which is still 99% of all the software developers. and it comes with, you know, off-chain and private chain and third-party integrations and security, etc., and security audits, and you can have that sort of thing insured, etc. And so that might be a way in, because maybe, not maybe, but you know, I believe that once any of these blockchains become performant enough that the solution can be fully on chain, then why not? Then you can maybe remove, you know, things like Tatum and any other company. But in the foreseeable future, I believe that's the way we can and we can implement things now. And just so that's it. I thank you very much. I didn't have much time to prepare, but I just wanted to kick this thing off. It was a daring topic to start with. My name is Jan. Again, you can reach me on any of these emails. I'll be very happy to talk to any of you, either being online right now or seeing this video on YouTube later. Again, I'm a senior product manager for Tatum.io, which is blockchain made easy. And I'm starting this initiative for public good decentralized apps on worker.com. I just put up a very simple landing page at the moment, and I hope to develop that further in the coming days. There's a contact form if you want to join in the initiative in any country or any capacity. Please, you're very welcome to do so. Either contact me or Anais directly. I also want to start as a near protocol ambassador in Prague, my own guild. Very much excited about the program that Anais put out. And so if any one of you is hearing this from Prague, please come and approach me. But also if any one of you is from anywhere else and is thinking about starting maybe their guild and their community, near community out there, I'd be very happy to share any resources that I've created and I'm going to be creating in the near future. And so that's it. You can scan this QR code to book a 15-minute call with me. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for joining today. And that's it for the Smart Cities on Blockchain.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. This was really great. I'm sure there are lots of more questions, but everybody can reach you. Also, thank you for the shout out for the Guild program. The Guild program just launched last week. And it's basically to encourage local communities to decentralize the near ecosystem further. So if you're interested in that, also let me know and I can forward you the information and get you onboarded. Yeah, this is a bi-weekly call, community talk. The next one is in 2 weeks and really excited to have you here. Thank you for sticking around and listening and participating. That was really great questions. Thank you. I'm gonna close the call now. Have a great day.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.